I guess I'm gonna have to go on an INTJ hunt and retrieve my INTJ because I don't know where she is.
I think you look lovely.
Thanks, really?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you like it better without the jacket or should I do with the jacket? It's just kind of hot.
It is a little bit, well, I would not say it's hot, but I'm also...
You're not me.
I'm not you. I think no jacket.
Well, now I'm gonna wear it.
Okay. Hi everybody, welcome to the ENFP and INTJ show.
Bye.
This is your host, ENFP, and even though she doesn't look it, she's certified with the Myers-Briggs Foundation.
I am. Are we doing our intro before the pets? All right, go ahead.
Wrong lever!
Wrong lever!
What's your favorite Disney, like animated? I like Emperor's New Groove.
We're supposed to save it. We just put it on the calendar.
Well, that wasn't the thought.
We're gonna do a Disney episode.
Disney princesses, but I just wanted to know.
I'm not saying till that episode.
No, but like, do you like? Oh, I also like.
Also, I don't have an answer.
I like Lilo and Stitch a lot.
I need some.
I feel like Lilo and Stitch is underrated.
I love Lilo and Stitch. I don't know if it's my favorite. I need some time to think about what my favorite is.
Like if we're doing like.
I wasn't ready. I didn't study.
I wasn't ready. If we're doing, like, because those are outside of just like the classic animated like Princess and Prince, you know.
Yeah. So does it have to not? Can it not be a princess movie?
Yeah, I was just thinking of like the kind of offshoot movies.
A non-princess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like Inside Out.
What about Air Bud?
No.
You don't like Air Bud?
Was Holes Disney?
I think it was.
Love Holes. I love Inside Out. I love Holes. Stop!
What?
Stop it! This is supposed to be for that episode. I'm not saying anything
None
else.
of that is part of that episode. That episode is specific to Disney princesses.
No, but we're going to do a Disney episode at some point, and then I'm going to want to share my favorite. Scratch that. Pretend I didn't say anything.
She's never seen Disney before.
As if I can't edit that out.
Yeah.
I have
House
no
mouse,
power.
stay away. Hi, welcome to the INTJ and Cat Show. I am your host, INTJ, and today we are featuring Sylvester. With cute little, do you have
Great
one
name.
where I can't look at the back of their head?
Great name, first
Oh,
of
that's a
all.
good shot.
This looks like our female black cat, Koshka.
Oh, that's a kitty cat cinnamon roll.
His little face is incredible.
Also, Sylvester, great name for a cat.
I know, it's a great name, and he's got a very model-y face. Like, that cat is a model.
I feel like you could put a cowboy hat on that cat.
Also, thank you for sending so many pictures. I like when people do that. It's cute.
Yeah. Stay tuned in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, we have it on the calendar.
Close. It's on the calendar. To be fair, it was on the calendar last month too, but we had some issues. As y'all hopefully have seen.
We continue to have issues.
We continue to have issues, but we're kind of diving into the summer.
And what's the issue?
No,
Me.
I failed on a lot of things. I decided, let me go graduate school.
I appreciate that, but it really has been me.
Yeah, she was the problem.
Like 95%.
Yeah.
I appreciate you trying to take some of the blame.
You do a lot of the work for this, so your
Listen,
issues would have more influence over it.
Let's
than
just
mine
say,
do.
without saying, I have some like health stuff that I'm navigating.
Oh, my Sour Patch Kids.
You want some?
No, I just keep forgetting I leave them in here.
You need to eat your healthy food.
I need to eat my avocado.
An avocado.
I was thinking today as I was getting ready, you don't tend to trust someone in an area unless they have success in that area, right? So if you have like a financial consultant, you want to see that he's successful with finances before you give him finances, both personal and like otherwise.
Yeah.
And if you have like a leadership coach, you want to see that he's successful in leadership. If he's coaching you, like you want them to have been there.
Yeah, I see a lot of people that are life coaches, and I don't know
do
why.
not want to replicate their lives.
Yeah,
Like where they are is not where I want to go. And so I was thinking about, I don't think that life coaching is a valid form of career choice.
Yeah, there's really no certification process. There's no... Can you imagine me trying to be a life coach?
It'd be hilarious.
Do you guys think I should be a life coach? Do you want me to coach your life?
I think even like...
That's scary.
That is scary. Even there are things that it's like, you might have had like a really successful area in life that you're trying to replicate, but nobody can go everywhere and be everything. And it's kind of like, maybe you've had a friend that's been really successful. You're like, oh, don't worry, my friend's been really successful in this area. I'll help you out. And it's like,
yeah.
But that's like saying, hey, don't worry, I was on a plane once when the pilot landed it. I can talk you through this.
Yeah, it takes a lot of confidence to say, I should be a life coach.
I think so, yeah.
It takes a level of confidence, and a lot of life coaches, I think, the confidence is unwarranted
Yeah, I mean, what is life?
Because maybe some of them would be good like career coaches if it's like a certain field that they like. Maybe they've been a nurse forever.
Yeah.
Then maybe that could be helpful. It's like, oh, I want to go into nursing. Could you coach me on like
Coach me in that area, yeah.
No, it's already funny when a young person wants to be a life coach, especially someone that like, unless you're like a Fortune 500 CEO at a young age, like
Which is a weird time to choose to be a life coach.
Yeah.
Like
Unless you are literally 25 and you're on to like Forbes
40 under 40.
You know, then maybe like, oh, okay, I would trust you as a life coach because you're very ambitious.
Yeah.
Or maybe your dad gave you a lot of money. I don't know.
Don't know.
I guess it's kind of dicey there, but let's just do an episode where we rant about life coaches. Hey guys.
Howdy.
Hello. I'm Miss ENFP. Welcome to the ENFP and INTJ show. I'm a certified practitioner with the Myers-Briggs Foundation, and this is my best friend, INTJ, and she
Likes patterns.
likes patterns. And today's topic, we have been babbling for so long, I almost forgot what it was. We are talking about how to type yourself with the Myers-Briggs system. How the heck do you figure out your type?
And I really wanted a computer keyboard jacket to wear for this, but they just don't exist.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Have you over there with like a typewriter clickety-clacking over
How
there?
to type.
Yep. So the reason we are doing this topic today,
Requested.
it feels like every day, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or even email, we get someone asking advice on how to type themselves correctly, or, you know, I think I'm this type, but I can't really tell, or being confused about their cognitive functions, all of that.
I think this is a fool's errand, but I'm on board.
What do you mean?
I think that only a portion of the population can properly type themselves, and a portion of the population will improperly type themselves, even with help.
Why? Because they're Delulu?
Because all roads lead you back to yourself if you can find the right patterns, but not everybody is able to recognize the thematic things in those patterns.
Okay.
Like, we have a friend who we've all typed,
Yeah.
and she still won't type herself. She will
Yeah.
try and find why she
I get what
could
you're
be
saying.
any type.
I get what you're saying.
But I do, if you're interested, I think we should still talk about it. That's why I'm still on board. It's not like, let's not do it. But I just think that there are some types that are really going to always struggle in typing themselves. And that's a great place to pull in people that you know and look at like patterns and to get rid of your biases about what type you think something is.
For sure.
And I think there are other types that are just going to always hit the nail.
They're going to hit the hammer with a nail.
They're going to hit the hammer with a nail.
That would be me if I was trying to do that.
They hit the head of the nail with the hammer, like smack on, and really understand.
Yeah.
But the problem
They're going
is
to bonk the INTJ on the head.
MBTI is based on patterns of behaviors.
Yes.
And if you're living inside of yourself,
Hey, you're jumping way ahead.
well, let me say my bit and then I'll shut up. If you're inside of yourself, then you're looking at motives to the patterns of behaviors.
Yeah.
And trying to justify why those behaviors are different than just a data point as behavior. And so you're always going to have like a skewed perspective.
Yeah. That's kind of what I get into here, because as you can see, I wrote a lot of things, and I have
she took notes. I brought my brain.
Not only do I have a bunch of bullet points, but I try to do it like in order of the process I would recommend to somebody if they needed help typing themselves. And the reason I think this is important for some people is I've met people where I can type them just like that, and they're like, yeah, totally right. Like, there are just certain people where it's very easy for both them and the people around them to quickly determine their type, and they're good with that, and they run with it, and it works out. Then there are other individuals, and it's a kind of a spectrum of, it's not as easy for themselves or for other, and or for the people around them to type them as quickly for various reasons. There are times where I've met people where I'm like, they're presenting as this type, but I don't think that's actually who they are, because it kind of seems like they have a wall up. Or maybe I'll meet people and I'll think I know them, but then I really get to know them, and I'm like, oh, I actually see more of this cognitive function now that I see them in other environments. And then you add in the aspect, which I can relate to, where you're just a confusing person, And maybe, let's be honest, you might struggle with a lot of, or, you know, you might struggle with like a mental health issue. We talk about ADHD, we talk about autism, we talk about anxiety, anything like that can also affect the way even we experience our personality, because it can kind of become hard to differentiate the two. And now that's going to be kind of a topic for another episode, because you can really go down a rabbit trail with that. But that's another valid reason why some people are like, I'm having a really hard time actually figuring out what my true personality is, because I struggle with all these other things that, and so it becomes hard to differentiate what's my personality, what is my ADHD, or whatever it is.
Well,
how do I separate them?
I had experiential biases because we had our ENTJ friend who, she had her own biases, but the one I'm speaking to specifically is she was trying to figure out if TE was a cognitive function, if it made sense, if it was TI. And she kept comparing, because she knows that I use TE. Yeah. So she kept comparing her thought process to my thought process.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
And she's like, I can't use TE because I don't.
A lot of people, even if they're more familiar with Myers-Briggs, can still end up having a hard time typing themselves correctly because they have misunderstood Myers-Briggs, even if they think they know it. A lot of people at a base level, like you're saying, they'll be like, well, I have this cognitive function, I think, but that person has that cognitive function too, but they use it a lot differently, so I guess I don't have that cognitive function, or whatever it is. So I understand there's a lot of factors that can make it confusing for people, for sure.
And then there's biases that people carry in another sense. I'm going to use ENTJ again, and we approach this so differently.
Just coming after the ENTJs
It was
today.
well, it's just because I know that she's happy when we talk about her.
Aww.
She came and she said, I am an ENFP. And we said, okay. Oh, well, you said, okay. I said, that's wrong. You're an ENTJ. And so you were much like more willing to walk her through. And I was much more willing to be like, you were so obviously mistyped and you don't know anything that you're talking about. Let me just skip to the end with you.
Yeah.
And getting her to jump from F to T was really, really easy, because we're like, look, you like to think. She's like, I do like to think. But getting her to agree to being an ENTJ and not an ENTP was months and months and months and months. And it was just because she had this preconceived notion that if you had J in your personality stack, you're an asshole.
Yeah, well, she had a lot of preconceived, what'd you say?
Notions?
Notions. Because there was also what we uncovered, honestly, like a year later. She finally uncovered, like, oh, a bigger reason I didn't want to accept ENTJ is because I view the traits of an ENTJ as very masculine. And so that was part of it too. She realized, oh, that was part of the reason she secretly, like, unconsciously didn't want to accept the ENTJ label. But she's finally able to reconcile it as, like, ENTJ doesn't mean inherently masculine, and she's learning to, what's the word? Like, reconstruct what ENTJ means, what those traits would look like for her as a woman. So there's all that to say, there's so many aspects that can make people, these biases we have that we might not even be aware that we have, that can influence why we are more like, oh, I don't want to accept that part of myself, and I'd rather just say I'm this, even if that's not the truth.
And there'd be a little rabbit trail. I recognize it. So I'm going to put a little pause on this. When ENTJ watched our MBTI and gender episode, she came kind of halfway through. And we referenced her again, and that exactly the thing that you said. And she was...
We're big fans.
Yeah. She was like, hey, INTJ, why don't you ever seem to, like, struggle with, like, femininity and INTJ? Because INTJ is, like, generally, like, the masculine supervillain or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, because nobody is going to be 100% in every expression of femininity.
Yeah.
Like, I've never met anyone who is every expression of femininity fully.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, to me, I've always understood that we can pick and choose what parts of, like, we get to express. And so, but there might be things that, like, in her culture that she grew up with that were highly valued that she felt like she wasn't able to express. Yeah. And so that was just, you can tack that onto the MBTI and gender one.
Yeah, we'll go back and edit that one in.
Yeah.
When you are trying to type, when someone is trying to type themselves, there's kind of...
Oh yes, don't use this information against the people around you. Use it. This is my disclaimer.
Oh, okay.
Don't use this information against the people around you to say, hey, these YouTubers told me what, and now I'm an expert. This is
Are you guys doing that?
you for you. Well, we're not even experts. So
No.
this is you for you. And then if you have someone else who wants to participate in a conversation
Sorry, guys, there was a ghost.
and learn more about themselves, give them for them.
Yeah.
Because you're always really great about when someone says what type they are, you're like,
Awesome.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not that, like, I won't argue with them unless I think I can win the argument.
But you might make a face.
I might make a face. Like, I knew that the approach to take for ENTJ, which is to charge forward, I wouldn't take that approach with most other types.
Yeah. So before I start this, there's kind of two, they seem like they are contradictory, but there's two things you need to keep in mind when you're trying to type yourself with Myers-Briggs, or really any system, dare I say.
Hold these two things in tension.
Hold them in tension, is that these are not, we call them labels. Some people don't call them labels, whatever you want to call it. As I've mentioned before, when I got certified with the Myers-Briggs Foundation, they actually taught us to use language like preference or prefer. So I'm not even technically supposed to say I'm an ENFP. I would say I have a preference for ENFP. The idea
That sounds stupid.
and it sounds pretentious, and I don't say that, but the idea behind it is,
I have a preference for the INTJ traits.
yeah, does sound very
You
annoying.
just want to punch that person in the face.
Right, and I don't like getting punched in the face,
Or having rocks thrown at you.
especially not in this outfit. But the idea is, yes, I am an ENFP, but that is in the context of all of the other personality traits I can also equally use. Because while I prefer extroversion, it doesn't mean I don't also use introversion. So my point here is, yes, because number two, this is what maybe confuses people. This is at least most people in the Myers-Briggs community's opinion. Some people might disagree, but I would argue everyone has, you should be able to find one singular type out of the 16 that best fits you. Some people have their own thinking of like, oh, but I'm this. I don't think that fundamentally is possible. I think fundamentally you do have to fall into one type.
If you're trying to fall into two types, because a lot of times people do like, I'm an ENXP,
Yeah.
or something like that. That's really straying away from like the cognitive functions stacks and straying into just identification with the letters.
Yeah.
And if you want to identify with the letters, there are a lot of personality profiles, 16 personalities among them, that does that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you're really trying to like dive into the MBTI, then it's going to be helpful for you to figure out your function. I mean, I'm sure you're going to go into this.
Yeah.
But like your best fit function stack.
Yeah, because as ENFP, like I said, I have developed a lot of introversion, and ENFPs are already kind of on the line between extrovert, introvert, right? So I've developed a lot of it, and because I was raised by an NT father, I have quite a bit of T in there, but I don't feel comfortable saying, oh, well then I'm an XNXP. That I am an ENFP, but I'm not tied to that. So that's what I want you to keep in mind when you're figuring out your type. It's like, keep a balanced perspective of, yes, there is likely one type that you best fit into, but also it's not a box that you have to be jammed into. It's okay to be ISFP, but also recognize like, oh, but I've also really developed extroversion and I've really developed judging, but I am an ISFP.
Yeah. Well, if we go back a little bit further to Jung, like his whole thing is like the wholeness of the individual, right? And birthing forth from the unconscious into the conscious.
Yeah.
And that you live in all of it. And so if we say I'm an INTJ, one thing that people tend to say a lot also, besides I can't control my face, is that I've developed my FI pretty well.
Yeah.
But that doesn't automatically make me an F type.
Yeah. Kind of like I said before, I put number 3, expect it to be a multi-step process,
Like baking a cake.
no matter who you are. Like I said, some people are super lucky in that they can just take a test, the test is right the first time, they read about it, they're like, yeah, that fits, and it works out. Some people are like that. Then there's a lot of other people where it's not so simple. Even if they take a test, the result might not be accurate, maybe it'll be close, but it's not super accurate because there's so many factors that a test can only do so much. And a lot of people put a lot of weight in the result they get from a test. And that's why I would suggest, if you're looking for my advice on typing yourself, tests are great. but I would say they're a good starting point. And some tests are better than others, let's be honest. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be a good place. Like if you know nothing,
yeah,
and you take a test, and then you go read about that type and see if it fits.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so that's kind of step 2 I would recommend. Like, so if you go do a test, that's a great starting point. But with the result you get, go on your own and read about that type. Maybe find a few different articles and read about that type. And then if you're like, it fits, but I don't know, I think I might be more extroverted, or I think I might be bored, read some other types that are close to it.
I will say, when we took the test as friends. We spoke into...
Go watch that episode.
Into each other's, like, not like, no, this is you, but there were some bits where it's like, and
yes.
you're like, hey, no, you need to answer this way. And there were a couple times you just read the question. You're like, this? I'm like, no, the opposite. And you're like, oh, I didn't read the question right.
I was the dyslexic one.
Right.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's another good point. In test taking, maybe not everyone wants to do this. Maybe, I've talked to some people that are very opinionated about this, or a specific person. But I would recommend, if you're up to it, take the test with someone like your best friend or someone you're super close to and you actually trust their input.
You don't have to answer what they say, too.
Right.
I think
put it in
this,
context.
Like, I disagree.
Don't take the test and have them answer it for you.
That'd be fun. Let's take the test at each other.
That could be fun for an episode.
Yeah.
But if you actually are trying to figure out your legitimate type, it could be helpful for some people. Like I found it super helpful, is take the test with someone who knows you really well and you trust their opinion. And so you can go through it together and be like, I think it's this, and then you can get confirmation from your best friend.
Yeah. One additional thing I'll say, and I say this every time we take a test, is the very nature of tests are problematic when you're measuring personality outside of a cognitive space.
Yeah.
Because you have to process through the cognitive to take a test.
Yeah.
And it's not just within personality theory, it's within like any type of research also, right? When they're like, fill out a survey or do this, it's like, well, the very nature of that, you have now have this problem because you've entered it into a cognitive space, so you're only measuring it through the cognitive lens.
Yep.
So you immediately you have to think about whatever it is, you're moving it through that, which can alter what the true answer might be. So having a friend can sometimes help balance the cognitive lens.
For sure. Another aspect that the Myers-Briggs Foundation didn't teach us this, but I'm still a big proponent of it personally. I think it's always a good idea to get input from the people around you that know you well. Because as we say over and over, a lot about your personality is how other people experience you. It is how you project yourself to the world, how your personality manifests to those around you. So especially those that know you well and experience you a lot, it can be super helpful to get their input. Now, some people are going to take that and like, well, I don't want to just take, I don't know. Some people get annoyed by that idea because they're like, oh, well, they don't know me like I know me.
I hate that.
And I'm like...
People tell me that unironically all the time. Like, you just don't know me, whatever it is. And it's like, well, duh. Obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know the contents of like your heart and mind.
Yeah. But it's good to remember that when you are trying to figure out your personality, a lot of people think, well, I should be able to figure out my personality. It's my personality. And yes, there is a big aspect to your personality is your personality. It is you. And in a way, you know you best. But it's very difficult, if not impossible, for us to be very objective about ourselves because we're not on the outside experiencing ourselves. So I would argue, take both into account. Don't just take everyone else's word for things, obviously, but I do think it's very important. Like, personally, I would put a lot of importance on her input and her experience of me, because if I went around saying, like, oh, I'm definitely a T, I'm a thinker type, I feel like the people around me would be like, hey, ENFP, we love you. You definitely have a brilliant mind. You definitely, you use your noggin, for sure.
Yeah.
You're not a thinker.
It's not empty up there.
You're not a T.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
the other thing...
your friends will be real with you.
And you might be leading to this, is like a lot of times I'll have people who will say, well, that was just in this scenario, right?
Yeah.
You haven't seen me at blah, 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 blah. And that is true. And I don't know if they still do this. I know that in the 90s this was supposed to be required. I don't know if it was actually happening. But when a psychologist was doing testing for children with autism or ADHD, that they were supposed to get affidavits or statements from multiple different places.
Yeah.
So the child at school, the child at home, the child at this after school activity, the child at church, whatever the things that they were doing.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that they could see, because all patterns are going to point back to the same. It's what I said earlier, all patterns lead you back to yourself.
Yes.
But the patterns were able to lead to like, oh, no, school's just boring. This kid doesn't have ADHD. The teacher just sucks.
Yeah, no, it's a great point because, like I said, I know people, and I think we all know people growing up or even currently around us as adults, that their personality is very consistent across all environments. They don't change much. They don't change the way they present their personality in different environments. And then we know other people that, like, it's almost like, whoa, it's like you're a different person when you're at work versus when you're just at home, right? Like, I remember growing up as a child, I was a very ENFP child, and at school, you would have seen that. I was social, I was super creative and fun and bubbly, but at in the dance studio, because I grew up in the dance studio, those girls there would have had no idea they all would have said I was a mega introvert because I was so shy there because I had a ton of social anxiety there. So that's why I mentioned the, like, if you have social anxiety or ADHD or whatever the case is, even depression, those things can also impact. So that's why I think I put down this is a multi-step process, and for some people they can figure out their type right away. Other people, it might take you years, months, whatever it is, to really hone it in.
Even minutes.
Even whole minutes.
Even years, months, even minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, even I'm an adult, and I'm
Supposedly.
spoiler alert for everyone who was guessing in our last episode, I'm a finance director.
Supposedly.
And so I can be very INTJ in that role, but in roles that I've had in the past, like when I've been in charge of, like, events, that is not an INTJ. An INTJ friendly role to be. And so people would think, they're like, but you're so social and you're so loud and da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, yeah, that was my TE driving.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also a financial director.
You are not.
I am. We asked you guys to guess what we do off the pod. That's the answer.
You are not a finance director.
We both do the same
You're
thing.
not a director of finance.
I want to see if they believe it.
I didn't even
You're
believe it.
ruining the illusion.
You have to give something that's believable. I am also a director of finance.
I think our audience is delulu enough. They could roll with that.
Okay. Which one of us is a director of finance?
I like finance officer personally because I like my badge that I definitely have. I like flashing my badge at people.
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah, so, yeah, because I totally get it. There are environments, even still to this day, as a grown woman,
supposedly
questionable, as a grown woman, there are certain environments where even if I'm doing really well with my physical health and everything, because physical health really impacts, if you're someone that has like chronic illness or something, that can impact your personality and that can make you feel confused because it's like, for me, I deal with pretty bad chronic fatigue and I am on my ADHD medication right now and that really helps. So I feel more like myself, right? But when I'm dealing with chronic fatigue for so long, it can actually make me feel like, am I actually an ENFP? Like, I don't feel like myself, right?
Yeah, but you don't fit into any other mold.
Yeah, but like I think back to when I was a teenager, I was super unhealthy and very wounded emotionally. I almost presented the opposite. If you had looked at me, a lot of people wouldn't have guessed ENFP unless you had a super trained eye. And you'd be like, oh, that's an ENFP, but she's just super wounded. Like most people would be like, you kind of come across as like a INFJ or like a cold eye, like something, right? But ironically, even then, I knew deep down I was an ENFP still, because especially when I was at home around people I was super comfortable with and felt safe, I was still that little ENFP girl I was growing up. Yeah. But I don't blame people for being super confused and it taking a long time to differentiate and figure out their personality type. I'm with you and I get that. But I was able to do it. And if this crazy lady was able to do it, I think you can. So further about trying to figure out your type, I mentioned cognitive functions. And not everyone knows about the cognitive functions, and as we say all the time, we highly recommend learning about them. We have an episode about that. I think that's the MBTI for Dummies Part 2. You can watch both, obviously, Part 1 and Part 2, but Part 2 in particular...
you could only watch one of them, and then you have to guess what happened in the other one.
Part 2 in particular goes over the cognitive functions. But, for example, as someone that I grew up knowing Myers-Briggs, but I didn't really learn about the cognitive functions until my late teen years, before I ended up going and getting certified. And I remember how helpful that was because there was a period of time where I was like, am I ENFP or INFP? And I know every ENFP out there understands that because it's just like a common truth. So many of us do that, right? A lot of ENFPs will go through a time where they're like, am I actually an INFP? Something that like, oh, that makes so much sense is when I learned about the cognitive functions and I learned how the difference between, because if you don't know, an ENFP and an INFP, for example, they both share extroverted intuition and introverted feeling, but they're flipped. So the INFP is led by introverted feeling, the ENFP is led by extroverted intuition. Once I learned that, I was like, oh, I'm definitely led by extroverted intuition, and introverted feeling is my backup. And once I learned that, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. So that can also be helpful for people.
I feel like if your dominant function is a perceiving type, what a weird statement I'm about to say. If your dominant function is perceiving type, you know that more than if your dominant function is a judging type, because you could have made up your mind that your dominant function is a perceiving type because of your judging type.
What?
I know, right? What a thing to say, right?
Yeah. I'm good.
But you know how like a lot of people with dominant function letting types, like this is how they feel about things, so then they can move on to what, you know, here's this information, and you know,
You're talking about judging?
Yeah, we kill it.
Okay.
So then they can get to the next step.
Right.
And so, what's your type? I'm an INFP or I'm an ENFP, and then they can get on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Where an ENFP is like, but am I an ENFP? But what are the other options out there?
Yeah.
But like, let's take in all the information.
Yeah.
And so it's almost easier to talk a perceiving type into them being their type than it is a judging type into talk them being their type, because they've already made up their mind about the type that they want to be.
For sure. And this is another aspect, since we're talking about the extrovert versus introvert, like ENFP, INFP. A lot of people get hung up on introvert, extrovert. We've talked about this a lot before. A lot of people are like, even if they are extroverted, they feel like if they accept that they're an extroverted type,
They're no longer interesting.
that means like their introversion's taken away from them or something. Like,
Oh yeah, I can't tell you how many times.
No one is-
But I spend time by myself.
yeah,
I'm like, good
no
job.
one is taking your introversion away from you, extroverts. I promise. And remember, extroversion, introversion already as a concept, it's kind of like a spectrum. It's not one or the other. We all have both. We utilize both throughout the day. But this is especially why I recommend learning about the cognitive functions, because as an ENFP, that basically means I am dominant extroverted intuition. Now you put me next to someone who's extroverted thinking. That's their dominant trait. We're both extroverted, but the attitude is paired with a totally different function. So a lot of times you'll find that people that are led by extroverted thinking seem a lot more like stereotypically extroverted person, and extroverted intuition might come across a little bit more like not obviously extroverted all the time, right? And so keep that in mind too, is that extroversion and introversion look different depending on what cognitive function you're using.
Yeah.
The same can be said about feeling, whether you introvert your feeling or extrovert your feeling, and is that function your secondary function or your dominant function or your inferior function? And again, if you have no idea what I'm saying, it sounds like I'm saying gibberish. We have an episode about it.
Yeah, I think like taking into consideration the attitude of cognitive functions, when we talk about like intro into or extro out of, that's just the attitude or the direction of your cognitive function. When we kind of step into different personality profiles or different understandings of introvert or extroversion, then we get the how do you recharge question and stuff like that. So even though we're using the same word, the meaning and the purpose of the word is different depending on the context it's being used in.
Right.
And so it's important to keep that in mind too.
Yes.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Whatever your preconceived notions are about being introverted or extroverted, that one teacher that you loved or hated, that was super introverted, super extroverted, that now you're comparing yourself to.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Right. Because the thing is, even as ENFP or her as an INTJ, if we were to compare, if I compare myself to another ENFP I know, you compared yourself to another INT, even in that, though we're the same personality type, people argue there's different types of types, and obviously, but like, I would just say we're all individuals. So that's why, yes, I'm ENFP, but even then, I'm not tied to that. I'm not just ENFP. I am capable of also using introversion and there's so many, like Miss INTJ always says, there's more to us than just personality. Personality is just one aspect of your identity. So that's why, you know, when you're getting into all of this, always keep that in mind, because some people will have a hard time saying I am this type because they don't want to let go of these other aspects, or like, oh, but sometimes I do this, and I understand that.
Yeah. Here's the thing is, Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Let's get serious.
Since we've been goofing around this whole time, let's get serious. Myers-Briggs or any personality profile, I like your serious face, thank you, is not going to be helpful for everyone.
Right. Not everyone's going to jive with it.
But we have a friend, and friend of the channel, just call me John, and he did an INTJ ladies panel where he asked questions, and I think he's working on doing an ENTJ ladies panel, but they're all being very ENTJ about it.
Yeah.
And our ENTJ friend came and asked me, like, why would you do that? And we talked through a lot of different things, but I said, you know, sometimes for people, when they find like their tribe or their people that are like them, that are categorized the same as them in a personality thing, all of a sudden they don't feel alone in the world anymore.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I feel so seen and known in this thing that I do. It's not weird. There's a group of people who are like me who do this thing too. And so maybe it is weird, but it's not negative.
Yeah. That's why I especially don't like the people coming in and trying to poo-poo on Myers-Briggs and all this stuff. It's like, listen, if it's not your thing, that's okay. No one's trying to make you like it.
So, like,
but a lot of people find true community in it.
People find community and connection, and they feel like they're able to be seen.
Yeah.
So, if you're typing yourself and you're kind of going through the process, there is something that's really special when you begin to find people like you.
Yeah.
And then you go into the next layer where you find people that aren't like you, but are like complementary to you. And so we are like peanut butter and jelly because we're the INTJ and the ENFP. And that's it's maybe not like
peanut butter and jelly.
It's the peanut butter and
very
jelly.
Non-binary.
Very non-binary type.
Yeah.
No, like I think the ENTP and INFJ is like the most romanticized. Like everyone's like, oh, that type, there's blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But like this is the entertaining duo.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, hold it all in tension.
That's a good point.
What?
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even put that down.
That we're an entertaining duo.
Another good way, because we literally do this when we're typing people, is you look at who are their close friends and what are their types.
That's true.
Sometimes
too, yeah.
that can help because now it's not always the case that, you know, you'll end up with a best friend that's your complete opposite. That does tend to happen to me. Most of my best friends in life have been INTJs, and it helps me like, okay, I'm definitely ENFP because I'm drawn to my opposite. So that can be the case for a lot of people. That's not always the case for you. But even if it's not complete opposite, sometimes figuring out the people you click really well with and maybe even the people you don't click well with, knowing what their types are, can also help give you a reference point of where you might fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my whole thing was like okay, here's the deal, let's get serious, was finding your type and finding your people is like, that's a huge part of like the
invaluable.
MBTI. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you're diving into it and figuring it out and finding like, and finding like quirky personality traits or maybe ones that you don't necessarily love about yourself, but you're like, oh, that's not a personal individual flaw. That is part of the way, that's part of the design of the ENFP.
Yeah.
Like,
and what's beautiful about that, it doesn't mean like you have to stay there either.
Yeah.
Because as the ENFP, I do accept there are certain things that I'm just like, I'm not as naturally good at, but it doesn't mean I have to stay that way. I can still learn to develop my FE, even though it's not super strong. I can learn to develop my SI, even though it's my inferior function. I can still work on it.
Yeah.
So, but also it helps me to accept like, I don't need to expect myself to be perfect at utilizing something like SI because I'm an ENFP,
yeah,
right?
I mean, I think SE is my inferior function. And it's manifested a lot in enjoying long showers and eating delicious food. It's not manifested at all in athletic sports.
Sadly.
Tragic. Like if I could do stuff, man, unstoppable.
Yeah.
But if I thought that playing basketball, like shooting hoops, was like really, really important, and every time I do it, I'm just bad at it because I haven't developed out that SE. I could beat myself up, or I could like accept like, oh, SE's lower in my cognitive function stack. If I want to get good at basketball, if I want to shoot them their hoops, it's going to take me a little bit more work.
It's probably going to take me more work than an ESTP.
Right. And maybe take me a little bit more effort. But now I know kind of...
It's not impossible.
Like what I'm approaching, how I'm approaching it. I'm not just beating myself up because in theory my ESTP, brother, whoever, is like really good at shooting hoops. And then the comparison and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you bring up another good point, is that if you begin to think, I think I might be this personality type, whatever it is. If you can find references for other people of that type, maybe you meet people or you join forums or you're watching videos of people with that type, whatever it is, granted, they're actually that type. You can't always be.
Here's the other, when people claim to be the type that they say they are.
Yeah, there is that
Should we
aspect.
trust people?
But you might find you are around people of that type and you're like, oh, actually, I thought I was that type, but they actually all do this thing that's like very different from how I do, or whatever it is. Or you might find the opposite. You might be like, yeah, definitely. I finally find people that like, I relate to them. They get me.
Yeah. And when I'm like with a group of INTJs, which happens rarely,
Yeah.
and there's an imposter INTJ in the mix, you can pretty much figure it out. You're the imposter INTJ.
I sneak in.
You can
I would.
pretty much figure it out.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm the imposter. Oh, this person said they're an INTJ, but I'm clicking with these two other people who said they were an INTJ and
Yeah.
not this person.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of specific.
Also, why won't this INTJ shut up? They just keep babbling.
Yep.
Might be a sign you're not an INTJ.
Could be.
Of course, you will yap, but it's only if you're like super passionate about something. Like people calling themselves life coaches that shouldn't.
Nobody should call themselves a life coach.
Right.
Dolly Parton may be a life coach.
I want Dolly to be my life coach.
Dolly, you may be a life coach. And Jennifer Coolidge.
Love her.
Those are
our life coaches.
Our life coaches.
Respectively. You can assign the two to the both of us.
It also depends on how old you are too, right?
That's true.
I'll throw that out there. If you're like 15, you're a little bit less developed in your cognitive functions than if you're 25.
Yeah.
And you're a little bit less developed in your cognitive functions than if you're 35.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing this and you're in your 40s, you'll probably be able to find the patterns quicker in yourself.
Yeah.
If you're doing this and you're a teenager, you might have more question marks where you're trying to figure out. Also, being a teenager is kind of not really the most celebrated time in somebody's life. Most people talk about like their teenage years where they're like, oh, like maybe being 15 was great, but 17 sucked, or being 17 was great, but 15 sucked, or all of it sucked.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever met anyone who said, oh, I loved being a teenager. It was awesome the whole time.
Yeah.
So you might also not be the healthiest version of yourself if you're trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
And you're 16.
No, you're literally just beginning to formulate your sense of identity in your teen years.
So just keep cooking. You're going to be great.
So yeah, let him cook. Like, give yourself some time, you know?
So in that
Don't do it
scenario, a
yourself.
decade could be a more appropriate time. But if you're 40,
Yeah. Well, and then we could get into the whole topic, but it's going to have to be a different episode. The whole topic of like, oh, but does my personality change? Like, I feel like I was more this type when I was younger, and now I'm more this type. Again, I would argue...
you're in the process of becoming who you're meant to be.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I would argue
That's not what she was going to argue.
I would argue that, well, kind of, like, I would argue that the real you is always there. We might just have layers where we're presenting as a different type because of whatever experiences. So, but that's going to have to be a topic on its own, because the idea of personality changing over time and all of that is a little adjacent to this topic today. Last thing I would recommend for people trying to figure out their type, you've done all of the above that we mentioned. Another option is to talk to me. Talk to people like me who have been certified as a practitioner. I don't know the resources out there to find licensed practitioners. I don't.
All of this.
What?
I said you did all of this and we forgot to look up resources.
I know, that was something I totally forgot, is like, I don't know, is there like a thing where like, oh, find an MBTI certified practitioner near me?
And hey, maybe we'll get her starting up like video consultations for a fee.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was gonna add too. I'm not currently set up to do one-on-ones with people and be a life coach. Be a personality coach and help you figure out your type.
Oh, to life coaches. Your life is your own.
I feel like just to annoy you, I'm gonna start calling myself a life coach. I'm gonna start my own podcast where I do life coaching.
Can I have a counter podcast, which is death coaching?
Okay. Yeah, I love that.
Which is all about...
You're just a mortician now?
Well, no. Death coaching would be to get the things out of your life that you don't want in your life, or to die well.
What's that lady's name?
Yes. Does
clutter
it bring you
lady.
joy?
Yes.
It might bring you joy. You still need it out because it's not actually helping you build a life to a good death. And all we're trying to build toward is a positive death.
All right, I love it. So 2 new channels coming out soon.
The life coach and the death coach.
ENFP, crazy ENFP lady becomes a life coach. You become the death coach.
Yeah.
I think that's fitting for us. You could dress like the Grim Reaper
I would.
for every
A
single
little.
one. Yeah.
But it'll be a duo podcast, so you'll be talking about how to build life, and I'll be talking about like things.
And then we'll do a combined episode where we duel each other with swords.
I think all of the episodes should
To
be
the death.
combined. Oh, now we're talking about death.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, point being, I don't currently have it set up, or I could actually do coaching or whatever you want to call it, where I can actually do what I was certified to do. I can administer the test for you and actually help you figure out your type one-on-one. I think one day it would be fun to do that. I don't know.
You can operate a fully remote practice. We're going to do some research.
I don't know how soon that would happen, but I guess let me know in the comments if that's something you would actually be interested in doing, like a, if I provided a service where you guys can book like a Zoom call with me and do a session.
Yeah.
That's something I'd be willing to do.
Or you just start doing cameos for people.
I just start charting cameos. I'll just give you a random type without even knowing you.
Yeah.
Like it's just a, roll the dice.
Hi, Stuart. It's great to meet you. I'm Sid Singing with my best friends and I.
It's just like psychic MBTI cameos.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tell
for
us if you
sure.
want that. I would do that.
For sure. That's going to be what I do. Using my third eye MBTI skills to figure out your type.
MBTI.
Yes. That's great. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
So I just looked up MBTI certified practitioner near me because I genuinely, if you're like, oh, I want Miss Crazy pink-haired ENFP lady to...
There's no guarantee she'll have pink hair.
That's true. I'm not going to commit to pink hair. I'm going to have a different colored hair for each one of your Zoom calls. But if that's something you would want, let me know. Maybe that's something I could set up eventually. But yeah, that's basically the last point is you can try to hunt down and locate an actual certified practitioner for the MBTI. And again, that's just another added piece to the puzzle and to your own journey of figuring out your type. Yeah, so I think that's all I had to say. I'm sure there's more, and that's why, like, if you guys have more unanswered questions or you're wanting more specific advice on how the heck do you figure out your type, let us know. Email us, comment below, and I'll do my best to help. Death coach, life coach. We do our combined psychic abilities to tell you your type, which is a super legitimate way of doing it. Just let us know. Yeah.
Super legitimate.
Super legitimate.
That's my superhero name. I'm super legitimate.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Your superhero name is superstitious?
No, just little stitious.
Little stitious
I'm the
and super legitimate.
I'm the sidekick. Little stitious.
Little stitious. That sounds like a rapper
I know, it
name.
sounds like a rapper name.
Can you become a rapper?
No.
Get a SoundCloud?
No, you guys do not want that. No.
Log on, guys. Little stitious in the house.
It is a good name, though.
It is.
Or like a drag name, maybe?
Oh,
That could be my drag name if I could be considered a drag queen.
Little stitious.
Maybe
That's good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I need a drag queen name now.
Yes, you do. Well, what did you just say? Super legitimate?
Yeah, I don't like that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think that works. We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments. How about Death Coach?
That is pretty good.
How about Grim Reaper? I don't know.
Death Coach and Little Stitches.
Little Stitches.
Little Stitches is just too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anything else to say? You want to plug your death channel? What do you want to do?
It's good to go on the list of our YouTube channons.
Okay.
So we've got couch surfing, we've got ENFP reads.
Yeah.
We've got rational parks.
Love that.
What was it? Wig out?
Wig out couch surfing? Did you say that?
I said couch surfing, and so now death coaching.
All right.
How to die well.
Dueling channels.
How to live in a way that you can die well.
Actually, that's really beautiful.
It is. That might be a sincere channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we love you guys.
Yes, thank you for watching. Tune in next time. We're getting ready. We're pretty excited about this. And she talked me into it. So I'm less excited than she is. But we are going to dive. We're going to dip our toes into the world of Disney. And then we're going to do a full dive the week after that.
Yay!
So
Disney. I actually am not like a crazy Disney person.
Yeah. We're going to jump into the House of Mouse and we're going to watch their downfall.
Yeah.
Third eye.
Third eye.
How do you figure out your type? Third eye.
N-I. That rhymes. N-I. Third eye.
It doesn't rhyme, it's the same word.